Okay, folks, good morning. Saturday morning here, just after 5:30, and we probably have about an hour of painting we can do before we have to wake people up. So if you guys joined me last night, I see this is where we were at yesterday. We were working on this Hungarian horse archer, and that's what we were painting. So this is what we're going to pick back up. So let's get rid of my foam brick and see what we got here. Now I'm going to go ahead and going to do the parts that involve the the case for the bow and so forth. Let me make sure good. I don't know why I have such trouble trying to get this at the right angle. You would think it would be easy to use, but it is not. I could tell you, I'm a painter of tiny miniatures. I'm not a camera guy, so bear with me. Okay, and let's put the focus point there. Not sure if that makes a difference, but we'll see if it does. Okay. So we need to paint some bow case and stuff like that. Right. All right. So let's go pick us a color that's going to give us some contrast. And man, we got a lot of paint out here. We're going to have to pick this area up. This is driving me crazy. But at least I got plenty of space over here. But I'm not sure if I can show you guys what the hell's going on here. Get this area. Got the area over here where I keep all my paints and stuff. And there's all the colors that I've pulled out and used. And of course, not put back. And that happens all the time. So, still, my painting area is less cluttered than most people I see on there. So, anywho, let's get this on here. Still been meaning to do a room tour, but I've been focused on getting stuff done at this time. So, and not sure there's more than just a handful of people that would be interested in that, anyways. You guys know who you are. All right. All right. Nope, none of that left. Let's put a little bit there to get moving. And okay. Let's see if we can't put some of this stuff away, because we need to think clearly here. I even pulled both pinks, even though I only used one. You see, I painted him pink without him being doing pink. Just because something says, well, it says purple, we got to use purple. It doesn't mean you need to go all out. There's different shades you can do in there that's not all the way to the full strength. It makes things look a little bit more realistic. You look at the description of something and it says, red. Doesn't mean it's got to be super bright red. It could be faded. It could be. There's lots of different values you can do on it. So definitely don't go hog wild if you don't need to. So. I may have to have to pull some of these out, but at least I can think clearly and not be distracted as much. All right. And if you guys didn't follow last night, then you didn't see that we finished up Finished up the second stand of the Hungarian spearmen. So all the heavy foot will be done for the Hungarians now. We're going to spray these later on today and base them over the weekend. Hopefully this should turn out nice and be a nice addition to the ground pounders for these guys. So, all right, enough of those guys. Bow cases. Okay, this is a decent color to use. This is Russian brown from Cote d'Arms. Like those Cote d'Arms paints, they flow really nice. And we have British khaki, also by Cote d'Arms. What else do we have? I don't want to use colors that are super bright. These guys are not like really guys that have tons of money. You know, doesn't look like it. I mean, if I had tons of money, I wouldn't dress like this dude. Wearing a little bonnet that his mom knitted for him. I'm sure it's wrong. Okay. All right, let's get this a little closer. And let's focus there. And let's make sure it's up. And somebody's watching, so good morning to you. All right. First thing, we have a bow case and we have a quiver, and they will not both be the same color. So I think what I'm quiver. All right, so let's work on that. Johan Plain, good morning. You're in Europe somewhere, because I'm the only idiot that wakes up this early in the United States to paint. I am not a late night painter, even though I did stay up till 10:30 last night, which is late for me to paint. Let's get some of this paint here. And let's see if we can spot almost to the point where I'm gonna pick a new spot, a new piece of paper for the palette. Almost there. Okay. All right, so we're gonna take this core color, which is the Russian brown from Cote d'Arms. And oh, look, I'm shedding. Lovely. On the outskirts of Paris. Perfect. I keep threatening that I need to do a French 100 Years War Army. The only reason I haven't done it is because I've just seen too many of them. Nobody in our playing group has one. But two of the people, the two Harbachs, they each have a 100 Years War English army. They don't paint, so they buy things at flea markets or armies that people are selling. So when you don't paint and you're buying things that other people are selling, you're kind of limited to whatever they happen to be selling. So they both ended up getting a 100 Years War English army. So they're just asking for me to build a French army and we'll whoop them. So it is on my to-do list, and I look forward to doing them because it's got a lot of heraldry. I love painting heraldry, and I've got a ton of 100 Years War type figures already, so I wouldn't have to paint. I wouldn't have to buy much. I think I need to buy some like French pavessiers, like the ones that are made by Museum. Museum makes some guys that right out of they've got this special type of helmet and this big pavise. So yeah, those are on my to-do list at some point, and I look forward to doing that. But I'm kind of focusing on armies that are maybe, say, a little bit crappier. The French 100 Years War Army is going to be really, really powerful. So but we'll get around to them eventually. I have a French dye I like to use. It's got this company called Coplow used to make them a bunch of country dice is what they were, and they made an English, a Great Britain one, a French, and they basically have the symbol of the country on the ones digit. They made a Germany, a French, several ones. So it's the French one happens to be blue and white, and I like to use that when I'm playing French armies. I have French ordonnance. They in the B list. Of course, we're talking about DBA. That's the stuff that I paint. But the fact that there's a incentive for me to paint that, because those are fun to use. Unfortunately, when you're playing the French dice, you don't want to see the French symbol because it means you roll a one, which is bad. So I picked that up a while ago. I got an Irish one, a British one, a French one, and a German one. They make other ones, but they're more more elusive. I've been on the hunt for the Spanish one, but to no avail. It'll turn out eventually. It's just another way to get into playing an army. I didn't put enough of this stuff down. How about I just leave it open? I may need it a little bit later. It's not like I'm going to be painting this all day where this paint's going to dry out. Just kind of have it. All right, so let's add a little bit more of this core color to this. So I think France is number 3 or number 4 as far as viewership. I know UK is actually number 1. All the viewers on this channel, most of them are from the UK. And then the United States. And then, actually, I think it actually might be Australia, then France. So, but it drops off a lot. Most people are English or American. So we'll just focus on pissing those people off. How about that? Not that kind of channel. Not that kind of channel. There's plenty of those channels out there for you guys if that's what you're interested in. Okay, and just do the belt. I decided to do the belt along with this quiver in this same type of greenish leather color. We'll call it that. And no white. I ran out of white. It dried out. All right, let's put some white here so we can lighten that up some. Okay. Yeah, I like painting these figures that have been around for a while, that nobody really gives them a second look because they really can paint nicely. You know, how exciting is it to have painting Essex figures? Essex figures have been around forever. So, some people just don't give them a second look. Okay, I don't think that's going to be too light. We're just going to do some highlighting here. I guess that's arrows inside. Some of these miniatures you have to figure out what exactly it is that I'm painting. That's like this little hood that he has on his head, at first glance, you can't, it's hard to figure out what it is. I mean, is he wearing like a sunflower outfit for Halloween or something? And then I found the picture that this guy is based on and realized that, oh, okay, it's a white hood and it's folded over. So we may keep that theme for all these horse archers as just giving them a white hood, because all four of them have, all four of these figures, oh, this one's the same pose, but this is a different pose. And he has the same thing. And this is the same pose of the figure. The horse is different. I may keep that that trend going. I haven't figured that out yet, but it certainly will be, I think, light color hood if nothing else, just to kind of tie them all together. So they're not uniform, but you know. Okay, then we're done with that. All right, let's put this guy away. You like Cote d'Armes paints? I use them as well. They're the same as the old Citadel paints from the 90s. That's what I hear. They're my favorite paint. The way they apply, they're really incredible. They really are incredible. They cover really well. I don't have any of their colors that are difficult to cover, so I can't say whether their yellows are any better, but notoriously yellows and oranges are horrible. Some greens tend to cover badly as well. It's not that big a deal for me because I paint in multiple layers. So regardless of what I'm doing, I've got multiple coats on it, so it covers enough. So laugh out loud. I don't know what you thought funny, but good. Let me know what it is so I can give you more of that. Okay, we're going to use this lighter color for the case on this side. They do smell nice, and you're not weird for saying that. I grew up in the early 80s building models and stuff like that, and I didn't huff any model glue. Who the hell wants to smell that? But this idea that kids now, meddling kids, I didn't grow up in the early 80s. I grew up in the 70s, but I started modeling in the early 80s. Not for catalogs, just military kits. So I never huffed any of that glue, or that stuff smells bad, but yeah, it has a very neutral smell. Yeah, that's good. Something else that I just came out with. Oh, this has a nice smell too. Hold on, let me see if I can get this on screen. Wow, it's okay. This Vallejo surface primer, this smells very similar. In other words, it has a smell, but it doesn't. So, hey, it helps. It's another thing, you know? All right, so we're going to get some of this. This is, call this khaki, but this is almost like I would call this Japanese World War II uniform. If I had to rename this, that's what it reminds me of. I'm originally a World War II person, so I, even though I haven't painted that stuff in years, but that's really where my interest started with miniatures. And the you know, so yeah, so a lot of the things are referenced to where they would be equivalent. I got a couple of things talking about France. I have a couple of things. It's rare to find things that are made anywhere other than in freaking China these days. And but this paint palette well, it said it was designed in France, but still made in damn China. But the basic material I use is French. The Liquitex, this stuff right here. I don't know if you're familiar with it. This stuff is amazing. Well, this is just one of them. This is the natural sand one, Liquitex, right here. This stuff is comes from France, so thank you. You're gonna get all the credit. It's unusual to find things made in United Kingdom, Italy, France, Germany. You know, here. I'm sure you guys make your stuff there, but I mean just imported wise. So that's great. Where did I leave off on? Maybe I never put this stuff down, or maybe I did. I'm sorry, I get distracted, but hey, I'm here having a good time as well, so just had to share some French findings with you. That was unusual for me to find that. I was not expecting that. Yeah, so that means all my paints are Spanish, English, or the Danish, right? Those army painters are Denmark. I'll be honest with you, I don't like those very much. I don't like the army painter paints. They don't cover really well, so. We're not going to judge a whole country's reputation on their hobby products, though. It'd be like judging this country's, um, just this country's everything on our vehicles that we make. Oh, please don't do that. Please do not judge us on American vehicles. Although I've heard the ones they import are better than the ones that we have here, but Denmark is a nice country. Yes, the land of Legos. You didn't know about the Liquitex. I'm not surprised. Heck, they may not even sell it there. Um, I love that stuff. That stuff's great for basing, so I use that on all my basing projects. I could do some designs on these bow cases, but I would just be pulling things out of my. I would just be pulling things out of nowhere to do that. I don't really want to. I kind of like to leave it like this and kind of pretend there's some detail, but what exactly details there remains to be seen. Um, it's my it is my impressionistic painting. It's my Monet version of painting. Like there's there, but I can't really make out what it is. Or sometimes I'll do something like this. And just add like a subtle design to it. And then we're gonna add a little bit of more white and bring that up. I don't plan a whole lot of stuff. It just kind of happens. I just kind of show up, put the paintbrush in my hand, and we'll see what we end up with. And hopefully we'll be happy with what it is. So sometimes if you just jump in and start painting, you get something done instead of. Yeah, that works. Just something simple. I don't want to do something really intricate on there, and then it'd be like, well, they never use something like that. But if you keep something simple, it's plausible that they could have used something like that. Okay. Oh, but I'm not get carried away. I do need to highlight this up some. If I forget, I can always come back and do it. It's just handy that you're already there doing it. All right, so we have a scabbard to do. Got some shoes. We got some arrows. A saddle. I don't know what color I'm going to use the trappings on the horse. Probably a light color. so it pops out from the red of the horse color. So am I using Osprey drawings? I use everything. The Osprey book on these guys is really, really poor. Currently paint 50mm German War, Muslims War, getting the details right for historical managers is a nightmare. World War II is really easy, especially Flames of War, because you guys have a lot of examples of that stuff shown on there. So, all right, so let's do some of the horse trappings on here, and let me get some. I'm already thinking Iraqi sand's probably the color I'm going to use for most of it. It should stand out nicely. Or maybe this is the Iraqi sand. Let's see if we can't change that up a little bit. World War II German beige camouflage. Yeah, this is probably the base color for like the Zeltbahn. No, I want something that's got a little bit more color in it than that. What about, let's go up here and look at this. What's this going to look like? Let's go with this ochre brown. Now this, I have a feeling this is going to be a color who's going to be a pain in the ass to get right. In other words, this color looks like one of those that's trouble and is always watery. But we'll take the challenge and see if we're wrong. Let's see. Let's see what we got here. Oh yeah, this is trouble. Now, I've mentioned this before in other videos. A lot of these paints, I ended up getting the Viejo paints because I sold a lot of my miniatures in the early 2000s. Like I said, I'm a big World War II gamer, and I'm a huge naval gamer, or used to be. So I sold all of my World War II 1/2400 scale ships. I just wasn't using them anymore, and frankly, they looked like crap compared to what I was doing at the time, painting wise. I just don't want to see them anymore. So I got rid of all my mostly European stuff. I'm not really into the Pacific stuff, so all my British, Italian, German, French, and some Americans and Japanese as well. Sold all that stuff and used the money to buy Vallejo paints. So I've got just about every color that I got for free because I took something I already had and sold it and repurposed it. Okay, it's not free, but I look at it that way. And let's get some black here. And I mail ordered these colors from, I want to say, Brookhurst Hobbies in California. At the time in the early 2000s, they were the importer of things here in the United States. They seem to have a lot of things. And I think a lot of these colors have been sitting on a shelf for a while because they just never work right. Now, it may be 10% of them, but I encounter them from time to time. And I know you can't see this, but this one's still, this one will be all right. But there are several colors I have which just never mix out right. But that's okay. So I was mentioning I need to write down which ones those are and try to replace them from time to time, but I've just kind of dealt with it. Yeah, I used to have quite a few French ships, World War II French ships, and those ships are beautiful. Those and the Italians, really, really nice looking ships. So that was the area that I really liked, is the Mediterranean. So had the opportunity of both sides doing fleet actions and bringing in air forces, and it was pretty well balanced. So But I don't miss those games that we'd spend all day trying to play and not finish. I'm a World War II nut, so I can't play games that are. I couldn't play Flames of War for World War II, let's put it that way. I require a lot more detail, so. I couldn't play this silly game like I'm doing now if it was World War II. Nope. Okay, let's. I needed to mix a bigger batch of this stuff, so let's get it going here. I didn't realize I'm gonna have to go in here and do this as well. Use a lot more paint in the darker shades than you do in the lighter ones because you got to put paint everywhere on the darker shade, and you only have to lighten some things up. So, and I could have lightened this up with brown instead, but I wanted a little bit more contrast. And we'll use the strap here to attach this saddle pads same way. We'll use the same color. Okay. And looks like it's got some metal studs or something like that on this, on the horse furniture. It's going around his neck. So. See, did I miss anything? You just started. What's your favorite miniatures rule for World War II? Well, if we're talking about land combat, I was actually coming up with my own set of rules in the first 90, not to publish them or anything, but to use on our own. For World War II, for me, was 20 millimeter scale. That's what we always did because at the time, in the late 90s, 15 millimeter really hadn't taken on, or really actually before that, the early 90s, 15 millimeter really hadn't taken off for World War II. To my knowledge, it wasn't until Command Decisions got to partner together with Old Glory in the early 90s to do their sets that that there really was any kind of offerings of 15 millimeter for World War II. So for me, it was always 20. I was always doing 2400 scale for naval or micro armor for World War II. And at the time, we played Command Decision, which is a 1-to-5 scale game. And we played that through the very early 90s. But what I always wanted to do is I made a trip to this hobby store and I came across these figures. They were called combat miniatures and they're 20 millimeter scale. And they're all World War II. And that's what we would do is we'd build those for skirmish gaming. That's what I like to do. And so we're coming up with our own set of rules. And in the early 2000s, the problem is at the time, I did not have a consistent person that lived in town that I gamed with. I did, and then he moved away. So that kind of quashed the whole in the late 90s of coming up with our own set of rules. But we were working on them, and then he came out with a set of rules that was really similar. I decided to buy them, and it was really similar to the scale and kind of coverage of what we were coming up our own, which is actually scary. It was almost like, you guys been like paying attention to what we're doing in here in our house? And it was called Face of Battle. It was out of Canada. They're out of print now, but they're basically one figure The one thing I wanted in my own set of rules is I wanted them to be played as close to actual scale as possible. So in other words, if you had two figures that were this far apart, then I wanted a game where they represented to be about 30 feet apart. Okay, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do house to house and room to room type fighting. That's what I wanted to simulate. I'd played the bigger battles before, and like they always felt that's not really what I wanted to experience. I wanted something that built a really good narrative. And we played them a couple times and really enjoyed them, but it's just very difficult when your local player that is out of town. And you gotta be a World War II nut to really play stuff that's that detailed. And especially with vehicles, a lot of games will say, "Oh, this is a skirmish game," and then they have you command a platoon on each side. No, no, a skirmish game is you're running half a squad, so two people team together to run a squad together. That's the kind of scale of game it is. And if you have a vehicle, it's like one or two, and they can't be too powerful. You got to be something that the infantry can knock out, or otherwise it's too out of proportion. But if you ever watch this Russian movie that just came out recently called T-34, the storyline is garbage, but the special effects are great. The vehicle combat in that is worth watching just for the special effects. That's the kind of stuff I like to simulate in slow motion. Like, okay, did the shell hit? Where did it hit? What effect did it do? That kind of stuff. So it's personal. You lose two or three guys, and it's a big deal. And that's just what I like. So I don't do any World War II gaming anymore because you need a place to leave it set up. And at the time, we didn't have that. So now I focus on this silly medieval game that we're done in an hour and we can play multiple games. So I'm a lot happier. So yeah, ASL, no, the game I'm doing is even more detailed ASL. I played ASL many years. I don't think ASL is that bad. The problem with those games is you spend a lot of time setting up the game. It's not necessarily playing it that's the problem. It's just you spend a lot of time setting it up. A lot of things are just better on computers. So I would just, if I'm going to play World War II, I'll just play something on a computer. There's a game that came out many years ago called Close Combat that was very similar to. I could get my ASL or World War II fix playing that. We played that a lot, but I'm kind of World War II'd out. When you were saying it was difficult to kind of figure out how things are painted. As a World War II gamer, I would always look at pictures. This is before the internet, really, when I was doing World War II, and or you may go to the internet, but now the internet's the first place you check. As a World War II gamer, you look at a picture and you're like, man, I really wish this was in color so I could figure out what colors it is. And when you move to ancients and medievals, you're like, man, I wish there was a picture or any information on these people. It's just really devoid of information. It's really pretty sad how many people have died throughout the years in these conflicts, and not only are they not remembered, but like everything's gone. Like, we can't learn from their everything that they've done. So it's really pretty sad. But yeah, it's best if I stay away from World War II. It's just too much pain. I've got probably a platoon of Germans, and and I don't want to play unless like everything looks exquisite. Because I've seen these magazines that come from the UK and stuff, and they're just gorgeous diorama type things and that's what I want. If I'm not gonna play that kind of detail, I'll just turn on a computer game. So I'm a lot happier doing this medieval stuff because if I get tired of painting red, I can go and paint something different, and it's not like all the great more Germans to paint or whoever. So, but for World War II, I always liked the Eastern Front. Always liked the Eastern Front. You don't want to be sent to the Eastern Front, but I like the game there. And I mentioned this and stuff before. I'm American, but I don't like playing Americans. I'm already American. I like to role play a little bit. Give me somebody different. That doesn't mean I don't have Americans. It just means that, that's not my favorite thing. And I've thought about playing other stuff, but I just have a limited amount of time, so I think I'm just going to stick with this. This is the only miniature I've painted since 2004. Is this ancient medieval stuff, this quick play DBA stuff. So I wish I had more detail, but it is what it is. It keeps me painting, and I don't focus too much on other stuff. But there's a limited amount of time because I've thought about doing, well, maybe I could do some World War One skirmish because there's some figures out there that I really like at 20 millimeter. I don't like 28s. I don't do 28s at all. And the 15s, I never gravitated towards the 15s in World War II because like all my figures look individually different because you're almost like playing characters. So I want them to be in different poses. And the 15s just didn't have the variety of that at the time. They probably do now with all the different manufacturers, but it's a little too late for that, for me. All right, let's lighten this up a tiny little bit more. But that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Thing about doing World War One is I have no interest in doing anything trench warfare. So I'd have to do, well, I would do 1914. So you could do, I'd probably do Germans and French. Because you could do the French early war uniforms where they wore the red and the blue, and then you could do the Germans with the the brown colored the pointy helmet things, the helmets that aren't helmets. They don't protect you from anything. So that's what I would probably do if I would do something. But I just, at this point, I'll like search, I'll see what figures made, and it was a nice fantasy I had because the reality is I don't have time to do all these other things. I would if I didn't have a job, but it doesn't work that way, unfortunately. I don't mind. I don't buy buying miniatures. I just don't want to buy miniatures and don't do anything with them anymore. I've done plenty of that. All right. Let's give the impression that there's some arrows hanging out in here. I think you're right. Just start a stroke with flames, but it's a lot of painting work. It takes a lot of time indeed. Yeah, just stick with one thing. You know, if you're a painter, then you just need to paint. But jumping around doesn't benefit anybody. ASL would be perfect if it was on a computer, and then do a turn and then send it to somebody else. But there's another game that I came across of that's very similar to ASL. Almost seems like a ripoff. It's at Lock and Load, and I think it's actually better than ASL. There's more interaction between both people than ASL, and that, in my opinion, makes a better game. But and they have it on computer. I got it when it first came out, but they just don't seem to have the multiplayer figured out yet. But I got a couple of people that I actually know face to face that wanted to play, and you just can't seem to get it to work yet. So, but it's a fun game, and I can get my fix on those type of things without paying the miniatures for it and getting frustrated. So, I like I like computer games for the fact that you can play like a board game or like a chit game, and it's like set up immediately, or you could save where it is. I think that I have, and also it allows you to play the rules correctly. It's none of this. Oh, I've been playing these guys wrong all along. Assuming it's programmed correctly. It doesn't allow you to do a move if it's too far to move, kind of thing. So I think that those things are handy from that standpoint. All right, we got a scabbard to do for this dude, and we need to hide these glasses because these are you put those on when I have my contacts in, but I don't paint with contacts in because I got the old man vision now where I can't see things close up, which is really, really disturbing from somebody who's been nearsighted their entire life, and now I'm too close to something to be able to see it. It's just mind blown. Okay, we should be able. Even though this is reddish, we should be able to make this pop anyways. How we doing on time? I probably have time to do this covered, and then I gotta go wake up a child. My daughter has swim practice very early on Saturdays, so. Okay, get some of this. Yeah, I'm probably going to switch out this paper soon because it's just from having dust in the air. I see that there's little pieces of fluff, and some occasionally you come across one and have to get that off your brush before it ends up disturbing where you end up putting the paint. Just a little annoyance. Good morning, Todd. How are you? Oh, it's really early there. Well, it's just an hour earlier. Meet me in St. Louis. I think that's where you're at. I don't want to go there because I'll be tempted to have to go on that big arch, and it's going to be one of those things where I'm going to have to go on it. I think my feet just started sweating thinking about that. It's going to be one of those things that I got to go on it because I'm there, but I don't like heights. Man, look at that. My hands are already sweating thinking about that. Hell, it may be closed because of the current situation, but last year, 2019, we ended up going out to Colorado and went to this place called, I think it's called the Royal Gorge, and it's this bridge across a huge chasm, and that was scary as shit. We had to go across the bridge because we were there, but man, I came really close to failing my morale check, if you know what I'm saying. Nice thing is my daughter was really, really scared, so that kind of made me become a little bit more brave. I don't know, if you got kids, you probably know what I'm talking about. So, yeah, that was creepy. But went to DC, and I think that same year, and we're going to go up the Washington Monument and realized, oh, you had to like plan this in advance and call your representative or something, getting lamb. Like, well, The good news is we didn't have to go up that thing, which I have been on it before, but man, I don't like stuff like that. I do not. Everybody's scared of something, folks. Some people are scared of spiders. I just don't like tall heights. No, thank you. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying the videos, Johan. We enjoy making them. I wish we could do it more often, but we can really only get together once a week. So I've had people say, I don't want to see any more painting videos. You need to do more game videos, but they're not related to each other. So if I do no painting videos at all, you're not going to get more gaming videos because the gamings only happen once a week. Have that solved. I think we found a workaround. So we need to tell people, shut the hell up. Shut the hell up while we're filming, dude. Because we would rather film it than not. It's fun knowing that something insane can happen. It can be shared with the whole world. Okay, that's the little. This is the one color that I definitely love from the Yeho that's metallic. Is this is their bronze? Super useful. So, what is your favorite scale of miniatures? 1/72 or 15 millimeter? Well, for oh, I know who you are. Oh, I think your name is Dennis. I could be wrong. I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but I can't read the script. I wish I could, but my favorite scale of miniatures. Well, my favorite miniatures of all time are 20 millimeter by this sculptor called Dave Alsop, and he did the combat miniatures for World War II. So that's really what got me into painting figures many years ago. But 15 millimeter for ancient and medieval. So and that's uh, that's what I like to do. So, but my favorite figures of all time are anything sculpted by Dave Alsop. That guy was just brilliant, brilliant. And the first figures that I saw that made me want to paint, because I was always painting equipment. I was either doing tanks or ships or something like that. So when I saw those combat miniatures here in the States in the early 90s, and yeah, anything that he sculpted was freaking brilliant. Love those. But that's for World War II. So I know that he did sculpt some Napoleonics and stuff. Never got into Napoleonics. Never got into it. Not really interested in the period. I'm originally a World War II gamer, especially Eastern Front. Like the Eastern Front stuff. Like I said before, I'm already American, so I don't really want to play Americans. Kind of boring. I don't care for American history. Boring. So, you know, didn't like American Civil War. Lots of people around here played American Civil War. Don't like the period. Don't like the uniforms they used. Hey, that's why they make all kinds of different periods, right? So you can play whatever you want to play. Never painted any ancients or medievals until 2004. Never, never jumped out at me. Oh, I forgot to do something that I've started doing, and that's grabbing the same color that I was using for the trappings on the horse. Well, I could still do it. It's still here. All right. So what you do is this is what I should have done back then. So when I had this dark color like this, I'm going to go ahead and paint the rain as well. I've been trying to use the same color for the reins, but then what I like to call evolutionary, paint it evolutionary, which means it's just starts going in a different direction. I don't know, I had to call it something. It just seemed like the right thing to call it. So at this point, I would have painted everything of the reins in this color. Okay. And then I started adding this one here. So what I just do is say, nope, we're going to start adding, we're start lightening this color up. And that just keeps me from pulling another color out and trying to figure out what color I'm going to use for that. So I want them to be maybe similar or maybe not at all, but I don't know, I'm just rambling now. But I've forgotten to do the reins. Let's see what I missed. Nothing. Perfect. But 20 millimeter, 15 millimeter, I'm good with those. Don't do 28s for multiple reasons. I didn't grow up doing 28s. They're too expensive, take too much space. And when I started painting figures, there wasn't any figure variety. I'm not interested in anything science fiction or fantasy. So for historicals, 28s really weren't the variety that they have now. There's lots of stuff now, and there's lots of 28 millimeters that look really nice, but it's just going to take me too long. I'm going to spend 8, 10, 12 hours painting one figure. I'm just not interested in that, in spending that kind of time on one figure. Okay, I'll be right back. Let me take a short break. Let me go wake up the daughter, get her going, and then I'll be right back for maybe another 15 minutes. So just bear with me. Okay. All right, so let's see what else we can get done here in maybe 15 minutes or so. Okay, so we did the reins, we got the horsetail to do. We're going to leave that for last. We got the saddle. We're going to do a saddle color that's going to pop a little bit. So let's see if we can get a lighter color that maybe has some yellow to it to add, make it a little bit more vibrant in there. Let's say, what am I looking for? What am I looking for? Say something like this. How does this look on here? We could do this cork brown, be fine. What's this icon? I've never seen this icon before. Oh. You love it when your phone ends up getting you suggestions. Hey, you might want this. No, I don't. Leave me alone. Mind your own business. Nosy phone. Okay. Yeah, this should be good. I don't necessarily paint outside in or inside out. I can pretty much reach anything I need to. It's more important for me to paint what I know. Like if I know something's going to be a certain color, just go ahead and paint that so that it helps you make a decision on some of the other stuff. Because it's not really the painting time that takes up a lot of time. It's the deciding. Well, okay, if that thing's going to be green, then I want this to be next to it. I want it to, that those little cogitations and stuff is what takes up a lot of time. And if I wasn't filming, I would just get fed up about making the decision and just go find something else to do and not get any painting done. So this kind of puts me on the spot to have to perform. So it helps me out tremendously. I don't know how much more painting I'll be able to do today. We've got things that we need to prepare for here in the house, so it's going to take up some of my time there. But I'll be back on if I can be back on. But definitely tomorrow morning, this same time, I should be cranking away. So, because Monday through Friday, you just can't count on me for anything. There's just way too many non painting things that I have to do. So, not a lot gets done in midweek. Yeah, that's what happened to me when I left World War II for 10, 15 years. A lot of the stuff that I had was out of print. And I'm like, man, I was just gone for a few moments. What the hell happened? I had figures that I had just bought just when they just first came out. And then I went to doing DBA and stuff. And it was 15 years ago by. And the next thing I know is those companies are out of business. The molds are no longer being made. I'm like, what the hell? I realized I had collector stuff that I hadn't really intended to. So. Kind of weird. Okay, so that's done. What do we got left? We've got some shoes to put on this dude. I think we're going to go on the light side. Let's get that Iraqi sand type color. Let's see what they've got here. Yeah, let's do something like that. Oh, we may want to leave this for the straps that come down and he puts his legs around. Okay, let's not do that. Let's do Let's do a dark brown then. Do we have any alive here? We do not. All right. Let's get a chocolate brown out here. Or flat earth. Flat earth will work just fine. How do I organize myself to get painting done? Do you have a scheduled moment every weekend or something like that? Yeah, so I wake up at 5 a.m. every day. Monday through Friday, it doesn't give me much time to. I got to start getting ready at 6, so I can't get any painting done Monday through Friday in the mornings. But on Saturdays and Sundays, I still wake up at 5, and like on Sunday, guaranteed nobody will call me for anything until like 8:30 in the morning. So that's a good 3.5 hours. And sometimes what's happened is oh, it got me excited and I spit on my own figure. I don't think that's ever happened before. The tiny little piece. Anyway, anyhow, I yeah, if I don't wake up at 5, there's no guarantee that I'll be able to get any painting done. So I got to get stuff done for my own sanity. So yeah, that's what I do, 5 a.m. And it makes it really nice because I'm not waking up any earlier. It's not like you're dreading Monday. It's like, oh, I hate Mondays. I got to get up earlier to go to work. Nope, I just get up the same time I always get up. And on a weekend, why wake up late on a weekend? Wake up early and enjoy the weekend and do whatever the hell you want to do. I don't understand sleeping in. That's just stupid. That's not for me. So, yeah, so that's pretty much my schedule. And I've been waking up at early in the morning now for probably, see, what year is it? 2020? At least at least 5 years, maybe even longer than that. Probably a lot earlier than that. Maybe 10 years. It's just in the last five that I've just dedicated to, like, okay, I'm going to get painting done in the morning. And it kind of sets the rest of your day up for something positive. You've already done something positive with your day. So, as there's no guarantee that I'll be able to paint at other times during the day. So, and you get up, you make coffee, you have breakfast. I'm not going to paint on an empty stomach. Have my iced coffee. I don't drink anything warm. Way too hot in Florida for that. And that works for me. I could also paint late at night, but I've got to wake up like at 5 a.m. anyways to go to work. So I don't want to have to switch schedules. So painting early in the morning works for me. Now I did stay up until 10:30 last night, but that's kind of unusual. That really doesn't work for me because I'm falling asleep. I had to drink coffee last night to stay up, but and what meant is I got some sleep last night, but I woke up a ton of times. So what works for best for me is in the mornings, for sure. Morning painting seems to be the correct thing, while girlfriend wife is in dreamland. You got it. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. You hit the nail right on the head. Okay, let's get Iraqi sand or child. It used to be my daughter always woke up early. So it was always like at 7 a.m. she was up. So I was like, oh boy. But now she's Well, she's got a lot of things to do. He has a very busy schedule. She's 15 now. So she's got synchronized swimming that she goes to on Saturdays. So we got to wake her up for that. I don't mind waking up her. I'm already up, so I don't mind. I don't mind getting up and doing that. And if you travel anywhere, we always leave early in the morning. So the fact that I already get up early in the morning, I'm telling you, it makes sense to get up at 5 o'clock every morning. I used to get up at 4 there for a while, but that's kind of extreme. Yeah, sleeping's a waste of time. I mean, you got to sleep, but no, get things done while they're asleep. That's right. That's the secret. And I thought I was going to wake them up, but I guess it doesn't. It is in totally separate rooms, so. And I'm not talking as loud as I would normally would talk. So, you watch any of my videos, I have no trouble enunciating. So she doesn't complain about the hobby. Yeah, mine's not too bad. It's it keeps me home, so I know exactly where I could be found. I don't do anything sports related or anything like that, so I don't have a ton of other hobbies. So this is pretty much it. And game once a week. But yeah, it doesn't interfere with anything else. You're right. Okay, this guy's got some kind of spurs on. That's what it looks like. Maybe it isn't spurs at all. I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to figure out what exactly these guys have. Let me look at the drawing that this guy's based on. I wish I remember what number he was at. Let's say it was in the 70s or 80s here. And this is from the Armies of the Middle Ages, Volume 2. These books are excellent. Okay, and it looks like they do have spurs. All right, fair enough. Let's get some metal out here. So when I get back, I want to be spraying those spearmen. Oh, I probably shouldn't have shook this. This is still already a mess. I can't believe I used this to transfer the paint over, and thank you. And I wanted to avoid making a mess, and it just created a different mess. So I'm not transferring any more paints over. Let's get some of this out. That should be more than enough. Yeah, see, this whole thing is just covered in that. I won't be doing that again. But that did get me to try this stuff right here, the thinner. So you almost saw me make a mess. Okay, and then we're going to do this here. The fumbler. I hate fumbling things. It doesn't happen very often, so that's good. That bottle cap is so darn small to hold on to. All right, and then we've got some metal things to put on there, so let's go ahead and do black. Make sure these have the black little dot that we're going to drop the metal color on top of is completely black there, so it stands out a little bit better. Okay. What time do you turn off the lights in order to wake up at 5 every morning? 10:30, something like that. I sleep maybe 6 hours every night, something like that. By the time I go to bed, I don't sleep worth a damn. Wargaming is a non-threatening hobby for marriage. You only meet dudes. That's true. Well, if it meant women, it would be non-threatening for me, anyways. Not that big a deal. Sometimes you do meet women, but the dudes are better looking, if you know what I'm saying. Yikes. Not in historicals. Not in historicals. But it's not really threatening either, because then it'd be like, well, you can't go to work. Why? Because there's other women that work there. It might be threatening. Come on. Okay. Did that. What else we got? We got the some stuff that we're going to do, like the hooves and stuff like that, and the horsehair, and that's about it. And this guy will be done. But I've got to wrap up, and we'll be back on later, or not. We'll definitely be on tomorrow. So if you guys subscribe to my channel, hit that little bell, and you'll know that when I'm on. So glad to have you guys along for the ride and keep me company. It keeps me on task and makes me accomplish something. So anyhow, we'll catch you guys next time, and enjoy your Saturday. Bye-bye, folks.